Hello, and welcome back to the Eagle River Division. In our last visit to the layout, we saw the Ferritin City Steel switch crew move coal loads to the plant's furnace track and return to the yard with empties. Today, we will watch the crew continue their work at the mill. First, let's take a quick look at the track schematic for the area. We can see that for cars being pulled from the yard tracks, spurs on the left side of the plant are trailing point moves, while spurs located to the right require facing point moves. Moving cars between the yard and each spur can require several back and forth moves. Additionally, cars for facing point moves require that the locomotive power first runs around them, so they can be shoved into position. Power for today is the mill's workhorse EMD MP15DC locomotive. The plant's tracks are generally worked in this order: coal, rolling mill, pipe mill, supply track, then oxygen, wire mill, scrap and slag, and finally Bendix Corporation. After receiving their switch list, the crew eases their locomotive to rolling track 1 for the first move of the day. Only the first and last cars need to be pulled from track 1. Next, rolling mill track 2 is worked. One gondola load of coiled steel is pulled from track 2. The string of cars pulled from tracks 1 and 2 is temporarily uncoupled, and the power is moved to the pipe mill track, where 3 loaded gons of pipe are pulled. With the loaded gons in tow, the adjacent oxygen track is serviced next. Here, an empty cryogenic tank car is removed. To clear a needed turnout, a sharp reverse move is made with the entire string of pulled cars. The crew now makes its way over to the siding with this string of cars to move them out of the way. The string is parked on the siding and the power moves to the yard to make some pulls. Back at the yard, 4 empty coil cars are pulled from track 2, along with a Rock Island covered gon and green cryogenic tank car number 80057. The covered gon and green oxygen tank car are uncoupled, so the crew can move the empty coil cars to the rolling mill tracks. The green MKT coil car is spotted to rolling mill track 1, and the other 3 coil cars are spotted to track 2. This third cryogenic tank car was pulled in order to get to the coil cars and will eventually go back to the yard. It's been temporarily spotted out of the way while the power runs to the yard to retrieve the boxcar destined for the supply track. Missouri Pacific Boxcar 39059 needs to go there. Access to the supply track is limited, so it must be serviced before any tank cars are spotted back to the oxygen track. The supply track is a facing point spur, so the locomotive must first run around the boxcar before pulling it to the supply track. Because of the short lead, an empty gun needs to be moved out of the way. The Mopac boxcar is spotted to the supply track, and the empty gun is moved back into position. An empty Frisco boxcar and Sinclair tank car were pulled from the supply track earlier and are now run around and shoved to the yard. Now the loaded tank car of oxygen can be spotted. The other unneeded cryogenic tank car is retrieved and moved back to the yard. The crew hangs on to the covered Rock Island gun for now, as it is destined for the wire mill in a little bit. The Rock Island gun is temporarily placed on the siding, and our crew heads to the scrap unloading area. The scrap unloading facility is comprised of 2 unloading tracks and 1 yard track. Empty guns are pulled from each of the unloading tracks. Three scrap loads are pulled from the scrapyard track and are transported to the unloading tracks. One scrap load goes to track 2, and 2 loaded scrap guns are spotted to track 1. That's enough action for now. Next time, join us as empties and loaded guns from the wire mill are swapped, and the switch crew services the Bendix Company plant. See you next time, and as always, thank you for watching. This is Mopac Mike for the Eagle River Division.